And it's almost that time when love is in the air.
Valentine's Day puts a lot of pressure on most guys, right?
He's a man famous for his romantic Valentine's Day surprises.
One year it was a 30-foot tall bouquet of paper flowers. Another it was a poem written on the ground, only legible from a helicopter ride. Today he's unveiling his more than 100-pound piñata with his wife's name on it.
He is the king of Valentine's Day. Albuquerque resident Lonnie Anderson.
Lonnie Anderson.
How did you earn that title?
I don't think I'm the king of Valentine. So when you're a kid, you don't really know how much is too much violence, or how much is too much shame, or how much is too much, negative energy. I think as a kid, I realized like something was wrong. There was some just crazy stuff that I think I kind of knew in my heart, like, this isn't a normal childhood. I wasn't there very long. I was quickly adopted and then raised in a foster home. They were a white family, but they adopted Native kids. I realized like it started to be kind of a violent childhood. There was a time when, I remember being on my dad's back as he was, beating up my mom against the washer, or my dad would throw fits and smash the phone. Sometimes he would pack all his bags and leave us. He would always come back, which I was very grateful for, but he would pretend to leave. He would walk out of town and we would follow him and holler out of the car, "Please come back, Dad, please come back." Even if you weren't abandoned, there's a loneliness that you feel, and I think everybody feels that. It jumps back to the Valentines, like why I make these Valentines, is that I just feel like, I've always heard this, but Valentine's Day is the loneliest day of the year. Abandonment, to me, is that loneliness and that insecurity that you're not loved, that if you were loved, you wouldn't have been abandoned. As an abandoned kid, you spend your entire life, even to this day, right now, today, trying to prove that you have worth. At La Placita, where I do work with gang members, former gang members, and incarcerated youth, and some of these kids, we all have that in common. We want to say, we have worth. I don't think I realized how crazy or how chaotic my childhood was in that house until I kind of moved away. When I was at college, I was talking to the other kids, and like they never got knocked out by their dad, And then, I met Ann, my wife, and she had never been spanked, and I had like 50 things that I got spanked with. So Ann, my wife, is the most amazing human being on the face of the planet. And I look back at the tolerance and the love that she has for me. I think that's because her parents raised her to be like that. And I believe that there are humans on this planet who, they just have love. They're just so full of love. This house that I'm at here, right here, like this is where she was born, She was born here in the South Valley. My daughter was born here in the South Valley in the same house, same place. Her parents raised her here. She went to Rio Grande. She grew up pretty poor. When she just started to introduce me to things that were in the South Valley that were just so beautiful, I fell in love with the South Valley. Merry Christmas, everybody. Raining here, so no luminarias or favelitos tonight. The South Valley is notorious for taking abandoned and tossed away things and making them beautiful. And that is what I'm in love with. In other parts of Albuquerque, it's like the shinier is the better, you know, like a new car, a new house, new clothes. Like that's a way to explain like where you are and how important you are. And in the South Valley, it's kind of different. It's like an old truck. Like I have an old truck, and that's a form of honor, and because you have to work on it, and you have to give it love, and you have to like make sure that it's running, and you have to be okay that if it breaks down that you're going to jump out and push it out of the way, and you're not going to be embarrassed, you know, because the girls would jump out of the truck and help me push it, and that's kind of the way we grew up in the South Valley. And 9 times out of 10, when you see 2 little girls pushing a truck with their dad, 10 people stop in the South Valley and help, and we're all helping you push your car out of the way, and we do the same thing. And I think like those are the things that I love about the South Valley. I love that, you know, there's music, there's always music playing in the South Valley. If you just listen close enough. Like yesterday, a baby was being born in our neighbors. Everybody in the neighborhood came by, even though it's COVID, and honked or left a balloon or left a gift. And these are the things that, you know, we never see in the news about the South Valley.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Madeline Schmidt. A woman is in the hospital tonight after a shooting at a major shopping center in Albuquerque's South Valley.
One of 2 men who robbed this South Valley convenience store Monday night.
5 with a search for whomever shot 3 people in the South Valley overnight.
One person is dead after a robbery in Albuquerque South Valley, and another is behind bars.
So the perception of the South Valley is that it's like a field of glass. You know, it's been discarded. It's sharp. It's dangerous. One of the things that I try to do with my Valentines is that I try to change that perception of the South Valley and really show how beautiful it is. And just like glass is that you can take that and make it into these beautiful pieces of art, or even a beautiful Valentine. And I think, you know, that's the thing. Like one person sees something one way and another person sees it the other way, or the same person can look at something and they can be persuaded to think of it in another way. I think that's kind of what my Valentines do, is they make you think about the South Valley a little differently. You know, they bring the community together, and they're about love. And I think, you know, that's what the South Valley is about. It really is like one of the most loving places on the planet. And I feel very humble and lucky that I'm able to live here. Because of the original Valentine that I did, you know, or the kind of icon is it's this heart, and then it has Anne's name on it. And so a lot of the Valentines that I get from people, they're these hearts with Anne's name on them. Every day you can drive down Bridge Street at 5 Points, which, you know, again, everybody's like, 5 Points, oh, this is the scariest part of the South Valley. It's like ground zero, 5 Points. And right at 5 Points is a piñata store, and it has Anne's heart hanging out there.
25, ¿eh? Sí, por favor. So I'm Angie. We're at the candy store, my candy store. We sell piñatas here and Mexican candy, and we customize piñatas. Lonnie came in contact with my mom, and he told her about his idea of wanting a piñata outside displayed for his wife. That way on her way to work, she would see hearts of her with their name. And my mom thought that was crazy but romantic, you know, because she had never heard of a client coming in and say, I want a piñata displayed for this specific reason. So they agreed to hang it outside every day, as much as we could, even if it's, you know, rainy, windy, snowy. People drive by and see the piñata. Some get curious and they come down to the store, and sometimes they even ask me, you know, why that heart is out there, what it means. So it's became a tradition for the store, for the South Valley, and a way to show love. Some things that I love about the people that come to the shop are that they always have something to share, whether it's something personal or something funny, a story of their own. I get to learn from them, and maybe they also learn from me whenever we converse or they tell me, any of their stories. I love about the South Valley, its culture and diversity, that there's, like I said, so many people here that you can meet and be able to talk with and gain experiences. Hola.
You want to help them?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have heard so many stories about kids who commit crimes going in and out of jail.
In Target 7's Search for Solutions, Sasha Lininger takes you to a farm in the South Valley that has found a way to stop the cycle.
La Placita was founded 14 years ago and is mostly funded through corporate and private donations. Instead of being locked up for 8 hours every day, kids in the program garden, make pottery and ceramics, and study to get their GED.
Kind of shows you like a different perspective to life. Like it can be much more simpler than having to watch it back all the time.
So my name is Albino Garcia, and I'm the executive director of La Placita Institute. We're literally a stone throw away from the Rio Grande River. So much history is told about the Rio Grande.
This lifeline has flowed through the American Southwest as long as recorded time.
The trees here, they have wisdom and knowledge, right? And the vegetation right off of the Rio Grande. The valley is completely connected to the river and the bosque and its history, generation upon generation. We've traveled that river for thousands of years, not just hundreds of years. The history here, there's a richness in history beyond the norm, beyond what's told and said about the South Valley in particular. We don't all get along, here, but it has its own subculture, the valley. There's this collective identity that's hard to describe, that we all share, but it boils down to 4 letters: love. Lonnie Anderson is the kind of man that truly transcends general assumption about what a South Valley bro would be. The dude travels all over the world. He does all kind of stuff, and then he lives right here in the valley, and he has so much pride. There isn't one kind of cultural or social activity in the valley where he, his wife, and his daughters aren't leading the march in some way or another. He's an artist, and his imprint is all over the valley. And so we go way, way back, Lonnie, on our work. He's dedicated to children, to youth. He's an educator, volunteer like you wouldn't believe. A lot of people don't know. It's much more comprehensive than being, a guy that does these really over-the-top Valentines for his wife, right? Lonnie raising his family and his 2 girls down here. He really cares about what people believe and think and know about the South Valley. His intent is multifaceted. 1, to show the expression of love to his beautiful wife. Absolutely. But 2, to show and express his love for the valley. He told me straight up one time, he says, there's just too much news about South Valley man shot and killed, South Valley man, this, that, right? All of these stories about the woes and the ails of the South Valley. And he said, man, they never talk about South Valley man travels around the world for his wife. So he actually really was a creator of this little narrative, this expression of love for his wife as an expression of love for his community called the South Valley.
Lonnie Anderson loves his wife. Last year, he wrote out an E.E. Cummings poem in rocks on Valentine's Day. He's known for his romantic displays. This February, his love is global. Take a look. Anderson asked the world to write "I love Anne" on something and take a picture. The photos are flooding in. Snapshots of romance, all to show his wife she's special and adored.
Why would people around the world, in front of the pyramids in Africa and China, in London, in Ireland, in South America, why would they hold up a sign that says Anne? And it's not that China loves Anne, it's just like there's love here. We had somebody make a Valentine. It says, I love Anne in Syria. His brother was helping him hide his mom in the mountains. His brother snuck down and he was murdered by the soldiers. They caught him and they executed him. And that happened 2 weeks before he sent me this Valentine. And that's when I noticed, like, it's not about Anne, it's about love. It's like, even during war, this country in war, this kid is in hiding in the mountains with his family, trying to keep them safe, death all around him. He wants the world to know that love, there's still love there. The I Love Anne is more about people letting us know that there's love in the South Valley, that there's love in Iran, that there's love in Palestine and Israel and these places where there's these terrible wars going on. There's love here in Albuquerque, you know? It's like, I think that's more of they're holding up the sign that says, I love Anne. They're holding up a sign that just says love, you know? This force of love that's all around us is doing things for us. And you have to be able to just sit back and accept all this amazing love and appreciate it and realize that you are immersed in it. And at first it might not look like what you think it looks like, but it's there. It's always there.